This is the Scarlet Vault. Stored away here in the rust-red rooms are items too powerful, too dangerous to exist. You may consider me the custodian and protector of this abominable museum of terrors. Every item stored here is drenched in horror. Every item a weapon in the wrong hands. And every item has a story. Perhaps you would like to hear one.
Tonight's item has been kept here for safekeeping for over 100 years, and is still sought by many. It's a 19th century Romanian cremation urn, dark green in colour, almost black, with some Christian symbolism engraved in silver. Contained inside, the last earthly remains of a great elder vampire. But who would be so bold and cunning to fight and kill such a powerful creature? Her name was Valentina Belan. Even after 30 years of farming, the breaking light of dawn was still breathtaking. Farmer Constantine surveyed his grain fields with great satisfaction, his old but sharp eyes taking in every detail of arable land and the distant castle. He frowned suddenly. Something was visibly wrong in the top field. Flattened crops spoke of a trespasser overnight. He rode his donkey up the hillside to investigate, and upon closer inspection he made a horrific discovery. A tiny broken body had been deposited in the field, arms and legs twisted across the torso, a terrible look of frozen fear on the dead child's blue face. No stranger to death, but still greatly disturbed, he knelt next to the corpse and tried to recognize the girl. It was Zandra, the butcher's daughter. 2 marks on her little neck where she had been bitten by... what? An animal? It had to be an animal. Only an animal could do such a thing.
Will you please step forward, Tina?
Valentina Belan smoothed the creases on the black silk of her servant's dress and stepped into the kitchen. Castle Verlescu's head manservant, a big bearded man named Georgescu, was sat at the kitchen table.
Take a chair.
He pointed. It was not an invitation. Valentina slid the wooden chair across the stone floor and gently sat down, locking eyes with Georgescu.
You are not like the other serving girls, Tina, he observed. They do not find it so easy to stare me in the eye.
Valentina quickly broke eye contact and looked towards the floor. I am sorry, Georgescu. I did not mean any disrespect. He grunted, disbelieving.
You have been working for the Count for 1 week now. During this time you have been late on 2 occasions, frequently disobedient and lazy in your work.
It hung in the air for a while. Valentina continued to play sheepish. I am sorry, Georgescu.
You are sorry, I am sorry, he replied. Sorry I ever employed you.
She looked up. Was this a dismissal? She hoped not, having not yet achieved her objective.
Your references appear to be very impressive. Too impressive. So we sent a message to your supposed previous employer to see if he would confirm what was stated on the letter you provided.
Ah, she exclaimed. She had hoped that the deception would have taken much longer to be discovered. I am sure, sir, that I am not the first girl working here to overstate her employment history, am I not? He laughed.
You are not, that is true.
He thought about what he would like to do to her, and the drool began to pool at the corner of his mouth.
How much do you need to keep your position here? What are you prepared to do to keep it?
Valentina recoiled, but replied without fear. Not that. Georgescu was disappointed, but not surprised.
You do not act like a simple peasant girl. You are hiding something, I think.
She sighed. I can see there is no fooling you, Georgescu, so I will be plain. My full name is Valentina Belan. You may have heard that name before, yes?
The vampire huntress? You are Valentina Belan?
The same, she smiled. I am hunting a great evil, Georgescu, and I have reason to believe it hides inside this castle. I pretended to be a simple serving girl, as it was expedient. This ruse has allowed me free access inside these walls.
You believe that there is a vampire here?
One of the great elders, I believe.
Do you know how ridiculous that sounds?
Completely. But nevertheless, I believe it to be true. You must have heard the stories, yes? The missing boys and girls? Poor Yetta, from the village, found at the bottom of the well, her young body horribly mutilated. And Zandra, left for dead in the field of Farmer Constantine, pints of blood missing from her corpse. What do you think is responsible for such crimes? Who could do this but a vampire? Georgescu considered it.
I think that these children were killed by a man. A man who acts like a demon, certainly, but not a vampire. The vampire is a myth.
You noted, Georgescu, that I did not act like a serving girl. You also do not act like the simple peasant you pretend to be. He raised an eyebrow.
You are presumptuous.
I am clever, she said without arrogance. So are you. So why are you pretending to be a simple manservant? Georgescu stood up suddenly and walked around the kitchen as he spoke.
My mother and father died when I was very young. I was stateless, drifting, until the Count found me. He employed me, gave me a position when no other man would, and more, he educated me, taught me to read the books in the library. He is a great man, Valentina, and I would do anything he required of me. There is no more loyal servant than I.
Count Verlescu is a vampire, she replied.
No.
Having investigated every person in this castle over the last week, I must come to that conclusion. It can only be him.
No.
She glared at him until he felt obliged to explain himself.
You have not met the Count in the course of your duties yet,
he stated. That is correct. He does not leave his room during the day. Does that not remind you of anything? I will not be satisfied until I have spoken with the Count, Georgescu. He looked angry for a moment, but then his face cleared.
Very well. I will take you to him now, if you would like. Then when you are satisfied he is not the creature you seek, you will leave this castle, never to return.
She nodded in agreement. If you wish.
Then come.
They paused outside the door of the master bedroom before entering.
You will not do or say anything to upset the Count. He is a very ill man. You will let me lead the conversation.
Valentina nodded, but did not agree aloud. They entered the darkened room and approached the grand four-poster bed. The room was shaded, but oil lamps provided a little artificial light, but not enough to make her comfortable that there wasn't something awful lurking in the shadows. Instinctively, she reached for the cross on the chain around her neck.
Count,
Georgescu said with a gentleness that belied his form,
are you awake?
An ancient old man stirred in the bed-sheets. His head emerged from under a blanket, his watery eyes blinking like an owl. Valentina noted his withered arms and legs. This old man was obviously bedridden and seemed incapable of threat.
What is it, Georgescu?
He bleated.
I am very tired.
He seemed to notice Valentina for the first time.
Who is this?
His face brightened at the sight of the pretty newcomer. Georgescu shot a warning look towards her, a reminder to follow his lead.
This is Tina, my lord, the new serving girl. I wanted to introduce you both.
Count Verlescu flashed a toothy grin at her.
Another new girl. What happened to the last one?
Georgescu looked shifty.
Do not let it worry you, my lord. Do you have any questions for our lord and master, girl?
None, she replied quickly. Perhaps she had been wrong. Her mind raced. If her target was not the Count, then who was it?
Then we will disturb you no longer,
Georgescu said, about to draw Valentina away.
Wait,
the old man croaked.
Bring her closer to me. I would look at her.
Valentina shook her head slightly, But Georgescu ignored her distaste for the idea and shepherded her nearer to the old fossil. She looked down at his pathetic form and tried to hide her disgust.
"You are very beautiful,"
he leered up at her.
"Such lovely blonde hair."
She clamped her mouth closed, resisting the temptation to speak out of respect for Georgescu.
"I should like to drink you up."
Valentina wondered then whether she had been right after all. Before she could act, 2 big hands bit into her shoulders. Georgescu. He was frowning, not enjoying this, but his eyes were steely, determined.
"You want her, my lord?"
he offered.
"She knows about your true nature, lord,"
he said as she tried to squirm out of his grip.
"She thought it was you snatching the children."
The Count chuckled, the sound like a drain emptying.
"Me, chasing after little girls, in my condition."
Georgescu released one half of Valentina to snatch the crucifix from her neck with a free hand.
"You won't be needing that,"
he said as he tossed it across the room. Valentina fought with the big man, but was outmatched by his brute strength. "So you procure the victims, do you not? To keep this old relic alive?"
"I am nearly 500 years old,"
the Count crowed, looking his age.
"My days of hunting prey are over, but at least I have my loyal servant here to keep me well fed."
Valentina twisted in his grip and struck out with her knee and kicked Georgescu in the groin. He groaned, but didn't give up on his slow, relentless pushing of her closer to the keen mouth of the Count.
"I'm so hungry for her, Georgescu. Give her to me."
Valentina found herself forced down onto the bed next to the repellent creature. The Count strained his wrinkled face towards her, making the most vile, anticipatory sucking noises. It was now or never. She ran her single hand down her smooth leg and found the sheathed silver blade tucked in the garter above her stockings. Clasping and drawing it, she twisted the knife and jabbed it into the old man's side. Unsure of how to react, he initially laughed. Then the cleansing power of silver burned icily through his ancient body, and he collapsed into dust and bone. He croaked like a frog as the ravages of time caught up with him. Georgescu gasped, horrified at the loss of his master, and Valentina used the distraction to slip off the bed, roll backwards, and stand up.
"My lord!"
Georgescu wailed.
"What have you done to him? How could you?"
"I am a vampire huntress," she answered. "What exactly did you expect?" She retrieved her little knife from the smoking remains on the bed and held it to Georgescu's throat. "You're next," she informed him. His eyes widened with fear.
I am not a vampire,"
he stammered.
"I'm a mortal man. If you kill me, that will be murder."
She considered that, but only for a moment. "Tell that to the mothers and fathers of the girls you kidnapped and brought here to this parasite. Tell it to the brothers and sisters of the dead children you dumped around the village to draw attention away from this castle. Tell it to the devil when you see him." She slashed at Georgescu's neck and ripped a red line across his throat. Blood flowed from his carotid artery as he sank down on his knees and keeled forward onto the bed. His blood mixed with the remains of his master, and the resulting mass began to bubble and fizz. Even in death, he was feeding his master. Valentina leapt forward and dragged the body away from the bones and ashes, fearing the spilt life force could reanimate the vampire, and her eyes widened in horror as she saw that that was exactly what seemed to be happening. Shapes were forming in the gore, growing, pulsating. She acted, grabbing an oil lamp with her left hand and smashing it against the side of the bedpost, and she tossed it onto the sheets surrounding the throbbing mass of flesh. The flame caught the oil and set fire to the bed, sterilizing any stirrings of vampiric resurrection. Satisfied both the Count and servant were neutralized, she wiped her tiny blade on her dress and slid it back into the garter on her right leg. It had done its work. So had she. The encounter with Count Verlescu and his loyal servant taught Valentina Balan a very useful lesson: to always trust her instincts. Understanding the immense danger posed even in death by the remains of a great elder vampire, she decanted the ashes into this urn and placed it here for protection in the Scarlet Vault. She was a magnificent woman, and I fear we won't see the like of her again. Many vampires, and their human agents, would like to get their hands on this. You're not a vampire, are you? You do look a little pale.